All right. Welcome back to another episode of Two Plain Sports. Today is January 10th, 2022, and a lot of stuff is happening today in regard to the transfer portal, Oklahoma's future at the quarterback position, and what it could look like next year, 2023, even 2024. We've gotten a little bit of insight of what could be happening. But before we get any deeper into what we're going to discuss, thank you all for everything. Subscribers are still going up, and it's all because of everyone liking, currently subscribing, and I know some of you guys are sharing it. We've noticed in the analytics it's coming up on other social media platforms, so thank you everyone for doing that. Keep doing what you're doing. If you like what we're talking about, if you like Oklahoma sports in general, make sure you turn on the notification bell, share us on social media. And for those of you that are hardcore Oklahoma fans, I know you like basketball. At least support the basketball team. Go watch those videos. We're starting to pop them out now that they're in the Big 12 conference play. So make sure you check those out as well. And leave a comment. Let us know what you think about Oklahoma sports, what we're going to discuss today, and follow us on social media and Spotify. So let's get started. So today, like I said, it's January 10th, and a couple of tidbits for the quarterback position have happened today. Jackson Dart, uh, former freshman USC quarterback, has entered the transfer portal, which it seems like a pretty good sign that Caleb Williams will be following Lincoln Riley to Southern California and becoming a Trojan, along with Mario Williams here. And if not, while we're recording this, and in the next 24 hours, we're surely going to hear an announcement about their destination. Um, but Brandon, you want to go first? What do you think?
Yeah, I'd love to. First of all, you got Caleb and Mario Williams in LA all weekend. They went to the Rams game, then they went to the Lakers game. So they're in LA already. I think Mario Williams been out there for a little bit longer than Caleb because Caleb was still doing his vacationing or whatever. And then Jackson Dart enters the portal today. That's not coincidence. It's all but announced right now at the moment. My two initial thoughts right away. As we were talking before we started recording, on November 30th, we did a show, and I said Caleb Williams is going to follow Lincoln Riley to USC. And both of you guys said I was crazy and an idiot, and there's no chance. And I had a couple people, because I did my homework on this. I went back and read the comments on that video. There were a couple of our fans in the comment section that were agreeing with me. Shout out you guys, because it looks like we're going to be right. Unfortunately, I hate that we're going to be right about this one. And my other thought that initially popped in my head is Lincoln Riley threw a bitch fit when Chandler Morris, Austin Kendall tried to transfer in conference. Kendall going to West Virginia, Chandler Morris going to TCU. He didn't think it was right ethically. He didn't like it. And now he's trying to poach every single player he's recruited from the school that he, like as you mentioned earlier, Hose, will always cherish and always care about. He is doing the exact opposite of the Brent Venables approach and trying to do right by his, Brent Venables trying to do right by his former institution. Lincoln Riley's burning every single bridge on his way out, or, he probably already has burned every single bridge. I think Lincoln Riley sucks, and every single day he becomes more and more hateable.
Yeah. Before I say anything, only 24% of you subscribe. If you keep coming back at this point, you might as well subscribe. But yeah, I'll admit I was totally wrong. I know we posted a video, I think last week, about Caleb Williams' potential destinations. And I was the only one that said I did not think he was going to go to USC. I was dead wrong. Of course, I'm assuming he's going to go there. I mean, it looks all but done. I figured he was going to go somewhere else in the SEC, but I'm wrong, and I'll admit it. Maybe it's more so I didn't want it to happen, but then part of me was like, well, why would he follow him? I felt like Lincoln Riley, kind of abandoned him and his family. But honestly, looking back with his reaction, I wonder if Lincoln told him before he even left, and if his dad and his family already knew about this upcoming, departure, and they didn't want to jump in the transfer portal immediately to make it look like he they were, they knew about it. I don't know about that. I'm just saying, it just seems interesting that he didn't seem shocked. He's, the reports came out saying he was, but I don't know. I just feel like if a guy truly blindsided you, would you really want to follow him to the USC? And as far as development goes, that offensive line is horrible. I don't know. I mean, I know he's probably going to get a ton of money out in LA. They've been saying it's been development. They're going to get a ton of money. I'm sure there's an NIL deal in the works right now before he announces his official transfer. It's just, I mean, it is what it is at this point. He doesn't owe you anything. I get it. I mean, he is like 19 years old, so it is what it is. But it's just that snake Lincoln Riley. I'm just glad the Band-Aid's being ripped off at this point and just turn the page. As soon as he entered that transfer portal, we all knew deep down he was gone. There was no way he was coming back.
Yeah, I'm going to play a kind of devil's advocate here. I mean, I'm not content that he's leaving Oklahoma. I think everyone's seen stats. We all agree like he could have been successful in Levy's offense, but he's just a Lincoln guy, and that's something that you guys said when Lincoln first left. It was likely he left because he came to Oklahoma because of Lincoln. He was willing to walk on because of Lincoln, and that stayed true. That relationship must be really good. I'm not saying that I in any way respect what Lincoln has done since he's left, because there's been a lot of coaches that have left this since the end of the regular season. He's not the only coach in this special situation that left a big program. You look at Brian Kelly leaving Notre Dame. He's not going in and poaching half their staff and going in and trying to take all their recruits and players. Like, he's doing the best he can for LSU, but he's also doing it to some sort of respect. And I think he got a lot more hate than Lincoln did when they moved, because they were still in contention for playoffs, which I understand. But at the end of the day, neither team made the playoffs, and it looks like Notre Dame immediately had stability with their staff, with their players, with everyone. Like, if coaches left, it was after their bowl game. They might have been, their representation might have been negotiating with other schools, but they were sticking around and at least showed that they were going to stick around till the end of the season. Lincoln, on the other hand, took off with 6 hours notice or whatever, and took half the staff with him, immediately tries to steal people. But Caleb, in a way, I guess, did what the coaches at those other universities did and try to stick around to the end of the year, which to some, on one hand, I could see people are saying, all right, well, why did he even do that? You're kind of just leading people on. But those are his teammates. He tried to do right by the seniors. That's something we always see at like the end of year hype videos. Coaches are saying, young guys, make sure you thank the seniors. Seniors, you did a great job. You're always welcome back, things like that. He did what he could for the seniors. Now it's time for him to look at what he needs to do to get to the next level. And it seems like that's his priority. And at the end of the day, like it or not, Lincoln does have a lot more on his resume of having successful NFL quarterbacks than Levy. I think if they had a similar resume, then no doubt Caleb's sticking around. But Levy's just too young and doesn't have the same amount of quarterbacks at the pro level and at such a high level that Lincoln has had, where you can justify, all right, there's no reason he should be entertaining USC. But best of luck to him. Do I want them to be playing in the playoffs anytime soon? No. But
no,
he's a talented guy. I don't suspect that the Trojans are going to be competing with it in the next 2 years. I think really it's just going to be, he's in LA, he's in a big time city where you start seeing guys like Colin Cowherd, probably one of the biggest sports radio shows and he's, TV shows. They're starting to talk good about USC, Lincoln Riley, because if we go back 4 or 5 months when the college season first started, Colin Cowherd is calling Oklahoma overrated. Essentially, USC is Oklahoma in Southern California. Same defensive staff, same head coach, they tried to have the exact same staff, and they're taking some major talent from Oklahoma. Like, what's the difference? Just location, right? So if people didn't, that's why I don't understand why USC fans are so excited, because we know what Lincoln is going to put on the field over the next 2 years. Very talented teams, more than likely, that can be successful, but are likely to fall short in big moments, like we've seen at Oklahoma over the last 5 years. So are they going to be better? Yes. But are they going to compete for championships? Well, that's yet to be seen, but I don't think so. I don't even think they're going to compete for Pac-12 anytime soon. Maybe in 4 years, but not next year, not the year after.
I don't know. I hate Lincoln Riley probably more than anybody on this show, but realistically, I mean, he ran away from the Southeastern Conference. He's going to play in probably the easiest Power 5 conference in college football, and I guarantee you that he'll never say it, but I guarantee you that factored into why he chose Southern Cal over staying in Oklahoma or going to LSU even. I think he's afraid of competition. I think he's a snake, a total snake for everything he's doing, burning every single bridge on his way out of town. But I appreciate what Brum said, because I was wondering the same thing. I'm glad you brought it up, because I think it's a good thing to talk about. Is what's frustrating about this whole thing is, yeah, Hosen, you made a good point too. You're right. At the end of the day, Caleb Williams, he's not a program guy. He's clearly a Lincoln Riley guy, and it makes sense for him as an athlete individually, because Lincoln Riley does produce. I mean, he's got 2 number ones. He made Jalen Hurts a 2nd round pick, where I don't think that would have been the case had he stayed at Alabama. So for an individual standpoint and development, I guess, it does make sense. And he came to college to play for Lincoln Riley. That's apparent. But what's frustrating is, as you mentioned with the staff, he took 5 members of the staff within 5 hours notice. He did not do that in 5 hours. That the staff knew, at least those who left. Alex Grinch knew, Roy Manning had to know. You don't convince 4 or 5 coaches and their families to leave in 5 hours. I kind of feel like, as Brum mentioned, we're speculating here, but I feel like he probably told Caleb Williams and Caleb Williams' family, like, hey, I'm thinking about USC. And maybe Caleb Williams was like, well, I'm going to finish the season up, but I'll follow you. I wanted to play for you. And I don't know. It's sus. I kind of feel like Caleb knew. And that, again, that's all speculation. That's not confirmed. We haven't seen it anywhere. But the way, I don't know, it's coming together so quick. Even after our bowl game, I feel like Caleb Williams knew, and I absolutely feel like the coaches knew.
Yeah. Sorry, Brum. One more thing, and then I'll kick it back to you. So, it's frustrating because it's happened to Oklahoma 1,000%. But if this is at some point going to happen with Deion Sanders and Jackson State. He's doing a phenomenal job recruiting this year. He took the number 1 player. He just got a top 100 wide receiver, I believe, or at least top 300 wide receiver, 4-star. If he gets offered a big job, it's going to be the same carousel. They're going to start losing all that big talent. They're, Travis Hunter, that wide receiver. Depending on when he gets a job, his son will probably follow him to whatever big program he's going to. And that just, with how the NCAA has put the rules together, that's just what's going to happen. What needs to happen realistically to prevent these catastrophic meltdowns, and it's not that Oklahoma's going through a meltdown, but they are going through a big change really quick, is you need to have tampering periods like the NFL and the NBA. Like, you can't be speaking to coaches and their representation during the regular season, because now you're putting another university at risk potentially, right? And Oklahoma is going to be fine, but what if it's a small university like a Jackson State? Now they're going to be put at risk of not having that same funding from their boosters or from NIL deals. Those kids are going to be suffering because the NCAA doesn't really care about how this stuff is implemented. They're just like, we don't really want it, but you guys all really want it, so go Wild West on this, and you'll figure it out later.
Yeah, it's just crazy the way it's been going right now as far as all the rules go. But, they do need to college football needs to be on its own. It needs to have an NFL model of a commissioner and rules that every conference follows. It's just crazy right now. I don't blame Caleb. It is what it is. I know there's a leaked photo of him in his USC gear. So I'd imagine, maybe by the time this video is posted or later in the day, we'll see Caleb in his USC gear. Mario's going to follow him. There's not a whole lot more to add other than, Lincoln. I really think in a couple years, he might look back on this and realize that he kind of messed up because, he's doing it right now. Everything that's going on, it's going his way. I just think whenever Brandon or Jose, you said this, they might win the Pac-12, but I tell you what, when they play an Alabama, a Georgia, a Clemson, and even an Oklahoma in the SEC, they're going to get punished. And because they're not going to have the beef or the size, when you're starting to play programs that produce great talent like LSU did, Alabama and Georgia. We're going to watch a national championship tonight. With Benny Wiley as your strength and conditioning coach, you're not going to be able to compete. And I just think they're going to compete for Pac-12 titles. They might get into the playoffs, a couple times, and they're going to get run out of the arena.
Here's what I don't. One last thing about LR before we move on to your next thing or whatever. Host, if you have something else to add too, I mean, whatever. But unless you're a quarterback, all right. So if you're a quarterback, it makes sense to me still, because at the end of the day, his quarterback, the Baker Mayfield, Kyler Murray, Jalen Hurts, how we got them in the league, it speaks for itself almost. It makes sense to me why you're a quarterback if you want to play there. So let's pretend for a second that you're a parent of a 5-star linebacker, 5-star corner, 5-star, literally any other position on the field outside of quarterback. How in the hell do you trust sending your kid to Southern California to play for Lincoln Riley? Like, is there no part of you that would be a little bit nervous that, say in 3 years or 2 years, the Dallas Cowboys come headhunting him, or, name the NFL program, and they're throwing him whatever deal that he wants, whatever money he wants. I feel like if you're a snake once, you're a snake forever. And I, and I don't know him obviously, but if his end goal is to coach professional football or whatever, the Dallas Cowboys, let's say, for whatever, it doesn't matter. What's to say he's not going to do the exact same thing he did to these Oklahoma commits, or, where he looked them in the eye and said, I'm the head coach to Oklahoma, I'm whatever. And he's doing the same thing to USC kids. And then Dallas Cowboys come calling and they offer him $75 million a year, whatever. That's obviously an exaggeration, but, a boatload of money. What's to say he's not doing the same thing, or he won't do the same thing? I just like, and obviously I'm an Oklahoma fan, so I don't like the guy at all right now at all. But I just feel like unless you play quarterback, if I'm a parent, I'm hesitant to at least trust him right now.
Yeah, that's a fair point. I mean, it is what it is at this point. It's just, there's nothing keeping him at USC more than 2 or 3 years. And if he sees any struggles, I wouldn't be surprised if he decided to jump. But so the positive side of this is there's a domino effect. Is Jackson Dart. He's a freshman quarterback. Jose mentioned it for USC last year. He announced that he entered into the transfer portal. Thought it was interesting that Jeff Lebby followed him on Twitter. I think one of you two off the show pointed out that Jacob Sexton liked the tweet. So I think there's some mutual interest between the two programs. That'd be interesting to make a trade for Williams for Dart, and then bring in Dart and have him compete with Dylan Gabriel as the QB1. Who's to say that Gabriel doesn't start next year and maybe has a great year, can go get drafted, and then Dart's the starting quarterback? I don't know. I mean, maybe Dart's a red shirt. He still has his red shirt. He could redshirt next year. I know he's from Utah. He could be interested in maybe even UCLA, maybe the Utes, BYU. I know his faith is pretty important to him. I think BYU is up there, and there's some interest in Oklahoma. And honestly, if losing Caleb Williams and Spencer Rattler, it sucks or whatever, but we're not going to attract number one quarterbacks right now, at least for a couple years. Once Jeff Lebby gets going, I think it'll be different. But to have potentially Dylan Gabriel and Jackson Dart is pretty good. I mean, Jackson Dart was the number 10 quarterback in the 2020 class. And then you would throw Nick Evers in there as well. I mean, that's 3 solid quarterbacks. I'm not saying that Dart's going to be a Sooner, but I think there's some definite interest, and we could see some movement potentially on that. Jose, what do you think?
Yeah, so it's going to be interesting to see what's going to happen here with Dart. It does seem to be that it's pretty much a trade, Caleb Williams and Mario Williams for Jackson Dart. But I mean, we'll see. I think it would be great to get him, because it also shows kind of a change again in the regime, because while we did always have multiple quarterbacks, Lincoln only recruited top quarterbacks every other year. Most other programs, like in Alabama or in Ohio State, they'll always go after top quarterbacks and top talent in every class. And that's pretty much what Lebby and Venables are trying to do now. They have a talented guy in Dylan Gabriel. They want someone in that class right after him, in Jackson Dart potentially. Then they'll have a good third option in Evers, which would be the class following Dart, right? And then something we'll talk about a little later, but they just offered a 5-star quarterback in the 23 class. So they're essentially saying, we're going to make sure that if there's ever an issue where this guy's not living up to expectations, we've got a guy that can step in and we know has the talent to replace him. and we're not ever going to be in this limbo of hopefully we get that 5-star quarterback, because it was working for Lincoln Riley, and I think it still will be for however long he's at USC. But let's say 1 year it doesn't, then what? You're going to be left in limbo and hoping that there's a transfer out there, which how the transfer portal is working, there probably is going to be, but you don't ever want to put your program in that situation where you're going to be stressing about who your quarterback or who your linebacker or who your wide receivers are going to be. You want to just have that constant refill of talent, and that's what we see top programs again, like in Alabama and Ohio State and Clemson. That's what they do. They're not just saying, all right, well, we'll just figure it out in a couple of years and see how we're going to backfill this talent.
Competition is always good, especially in sports, and especially at the most important position on the field, the quarterback spot. Caleb Williams leaving sucks, but we got a good consolation in Dylan Gabriel, a guy who's very familiar with Jeff Lebby's offense system. He should be able to run it pretty well at Oklahoma. There's nothing official with Jackson Dart, but I mean, it'd be awesome if he can commit to Oklahoma. Then you have a legitimate competition right now, right off the bat, with Gabriel and Dart. I don't think that Evers will have a legitimate chance this year as far as that quarterback battle goes. But if Dart comes, and then you have a legitimate battle for that QB1 spot, and whoever wins it is going to be, ready to go, geared up, and it should be pretty damn good. So I mean, it's exciting stuff. I don't think that Jeff Lebby following him as soon as he enters the portal is too telling, but I also think it's just a coincidence. As you mentioned, Jacob Sexton on social media with him and stuff. I don't, like I said, I don't think that is saying, oh my God, he's coming to Oklahoma for sure. But I also don't think it's total coincidence. I think I wouldn't be shocked if this kid visits soon, somewhere in the near future, a week or so, even sooner than that, maybe. We'll see how it plays out, but I think it's definitely something worth following.
Yeah, and I don't know the exact time frame and whatnot, but I'd imagine to be eligible for spring ball and all that stuff, you have to probably be enrolled, within the next week or so. I don't know, with college classes. I think they started today, or is it? No, it's next Monday, isn't it?
Start next Monday. At least at OU, it's next Monday.
Or no, it's probably Tuesday because of MLK Day. But anyway,
yeah,
so he's got probably like maybe 2 weeks. I'm guessing. I don't know. So we'll see something quick. But either way, they're gonna take 2 quarterbacks. They're gonna take another quarterback, and whether it's Dart or not, I don't know. But yeah, if you would have told me Lincoln Riley would have left, then potentially would have had Dylan Gabriel and Jackson Dart on staff with Nick Evers, I wouldn't have complained. I mean, it sucks, but they're still very talented, and just because you don't have that 5th star doesn't mean you aren't good. But
speaking of that 5th star, though, it's a good segue now.
Yeah, I was going to say, speaking today of the 5th, yeah, the Sooners offered Arch Manning. Jose brought this up, gosh, I think right when Jeff Lebby was hired on, the potential of OU going after Arch Manning. It's not coincidence with the timing. Jose, do you want to lead off, take a lead on this and tell us what you think about Arch Manning's offer?
Yeah, I think I mentioned it in the last video as well. It's important because, you want to establish the future and you want to start getting a head start on that talent. Like we had Malachi in the 23 class under Lincoln, and obviously he followed Lincoln to USC, but now we're going to, we have to just revert over to the next best talent. And he is ranked, I think, in most recruiting website, Arch is ranked above Malachi. And a couple of Malachis above, but they're pretty much like 1 and 2. Like they're interchangeable according to scouting websites. And a lot of people have been slandering Arch Manning as if he's not talented or less talented than Malachi. I mean, I was excited for Malachi, and I still think the young guy is very talented and he's going to have success. But Arch Manning isn't like a step down. We're pretty much getting just as talented of a guy who has notoriety because of his name, and that itself is going to bring talent to wherever he's going. If he was going to go to Texas is already recruiting super well. If he's going to A&M, they're already recruiting super well. Imagine bringing on a Manning to those programs. Same thing would happen to Oklahoma. If we bring on a Manning, we'll have the support of the Manning family with Lebby, and kids are just going to want to follow that just instinctually, more than likely, especially on the offensive side. And money comes along with that. So why not?
Yeah. I think if if OU builds that defense that we think we're going to build under Venables here in a year or two, and March Manning gets to see that, and hopefully that relationship with Levy is as strong as some of these reports indicate, because that would be a home. I mean, that would be a freaking home run for OU. If you lose out on Caleb Williams, fine, and then you bring in Arch Manning, and as you mentioned, just the name is going to bring so many people to Norman with him, and especially with again, if we could build that defense that we think we're going to build. OU could be nasty going into the SEC. And I definitely hope that some traction grows there and the interest, keeps growing and growing, because I'd love to see our Arch Manning on campus.
Yeah, I feel like it would, he probably will take a visit. Maybe I'm being just hopeful, but if Levy, whoever starts quarterback this fall, whether it's Gabriel or Dart or someone else, if they start to really thrive, and like you said, Brandon, that defense starts rounding into form, preparing, getting ready to go in the SEC, I could see them really having some serious interest with it, and maybe taking a visit. The only reason why he wasn't visiting, I know he's visiting Texas, is because Malachi was committed. I mean, there's an open spot now in that 23 class, and I'm not saying he's going to be a Sooner, but I think they're going to at least get some serious interest and some serious consideration.
Yeah. The only thing that'll hold us back is we're just late to the party. I mean, this guy's been recruited since he's a sophomore in high school. Sorry. So
he was real close with Ole Miss, though, and a lot of people say it's because of that Levy connection. So we are late in the game, but now we have Levy, and if like I said, if that relationship is as strong as some of these reports say, that should be beneficial in the long run for OU.
And luckily, Sark decided to bring in Ewers, so maybe that kind of bumps down Texas in his wish list, because he was going to be their most talented quarterback if Ewers wouldn't have picked Texas to transfer to. So that could be another plus for Oklahoma. I think we should expect him to visit at least in the summer or right before his high school season starts in the fall. So we'll see. That was, to me, the most important thing. You're showing one, you're not losing confidence in what you're doing, which is important not just to fans but to your players, and you're going after the next super talented quarterback that you would hope to be a Sooner. And I don't think that's going to stop them from recruiting other quarterbacks, because you can't put all your eggs in one basket. Hopefully just the Levy relationship, like Brandon said, pans out and he becomes a Sooner by next signing day in December or February. Just depends on when he makes his decision.
Yeah, I agree.
Do you guys have anything else to add before we wrap it up?
No, I just think that, it is what it is. Just glad to rip the Band-Aid off. It's done. Let's move on. And, good luck to them. And wouldn't it be something if we saw them in the playoffs somehow magically in 2 years, and it wouldn't be fun to beat them, but I don't know if that'll really happen. But just subscribe if you made it this far.
Yep, for sure. Brandon?
Yep, here we go, guys. So end of video challenge is going to be comment who is the starting quarterback at the University of Oklahoma next year. Is it Dylan Gabriel for sure? Is it potentially Jackson Dart? Is it somebody who hasn't transferred over yet? Because I agree with Brum, we're going to get 2 transfer quarterbacks. So is it going to be Dart, Gabriel, somebody who's not on campus yet? Maybe Nick Evers, wild card there? Or is anybody still thinking maybe Caleb Williams comes back and he starts next year? So comment who is going to be the starting quarterback at the University of Oklahoma next season.
All right, dope. Make sure you get down in the comment section. Let us know who you think is going to be the starting quarterback. Like I said at the beginning of the video, you guys are awesome for helping us grow so fast. Keep doing what you're doing. Like, subscribe, turn on the notification bell. Share the videos if you like Oklahoma sports, Oklahoma football, basketball. Don't forget to watch those videos. And follow us on social media. Twitter and Instagram are linked down below. If you don't like looking at us, go to Spotify. You guys know the drill. We know we're a little ugly. Go ahead and follow us on Spotify. Download the episodes there so that they're easier for you to listen to, maybe when you're in the car, working out, whatever, or wherever you want to listen to podcasts. Go ahead and get to Spotify. Thank you all for watching again. We appreciate it. We'll see you next time.